From the moment Canada became a country in 1867, every monarch who sat on the throne had a dinner table, and what they put on it revealed more about who they were than any speech ever did. Canada has been a constitutional monarchy for over 150 years. 7 monarchs have reigned over this country, from Queen Victoria to King Charles III. Some ate with extravagance that bordered on spectacle. Others ate with wartime restraint that put their subjects to shame. And one, famously, barely ate lunch at all. We went through the historical record, the royal chef memoirs, and the coronation menus to find out what each monarch actually loved to eat. The answers are more surprising than you'd expect. Queen Victoria, curry and rice. Queen Victoria reigned over Canada from Confederation until her death in 1901, and the food she loved most was not roast beef, not English pudding, it was curry and rice, served at every single lunch without exception. Victoria had developed a deep attachment to Indian cuisine through her relationship with her Indian servants, particularly Abdul Karim, who joined the royal household in 1887. She instructed that a dish of curry and rice be offered at every luncheon, served by 2 Indian servants dressed in gold and blue uniforms. The dish was non-negotiable, regardless of who the guests were or what occasion was being observed. While Victoria herself ate quickly and with little ceremony, her meals typically lasted under half an hour. The curry remained a constant. She was also famously fond of a cold roast chicken leg, carried in her handbag for snacking, and she drank her tea with a splash of whiskey. But the curry was the signature. Every lunch, every day for decades. King Edward VII, snipe cutlets and 8-course dinners. Edward VII reigned over Canada for 9 years and ate with a dedication that alarmed everyone around him. He sat down to 5 dishes at breakfast, 10 at lunch, and 12 at dinner, every single day. Royal menus from Sandringham reveal that Edward's particular obsession was game. Partridge, pheasant, venison, wild duck, woodcock, and plover all appeared regularly, but the dish that defined his table was snipe. Small wading birds, prepared as cutlets smothered in brandy and pâté, wrapped in a pork caul and served with truffles and Madeira sauce. He also kept a Christmas tradition of roasting cygnets, young swans reared on the Thames by his royal swan master, a practice that required planning months in advance. Edward had grown up watching Queen Victoria eat quickly and with little enthusiasm. He took the opposite approach entirely. He approached each meal as an event, expected the same of his guests, and considered anyone who finished eating before him to be inexcusably rude. King George V, apple dumplings and mashed potatoes. George V reigned over Canada through the First World War, the Roaring Twenties, and into the Great Depression, and throughout all of it, his tastes remained stubbornly, almost provocatively simple. Where his father, Edward VII, had reveled in 12-course dinners and French cuisine, George V wanted mashed potatoes. He banned alcohol from the royal table for the entire duration of the First World War and replaced it with sugared water. He drank thin soup at 11 in the morning as a daily ritual, but the dish he returned to most often, the one that appeared repeatedly in accounts of his personal preferences, was apple dumplings. Whole peeled apples wrapped in a sweat pastry, boiled or baked until tender, then served with cream or custard. They were not a sophisticated dessert by any standard. They were farmhouse food. They were exactly what he wanted, and he made no apologies for it. Staff who worked in the royal kitchen described George V as the easiest monarch to cook for. He knew what he liked, asked for it plainly, and was genuinely grateful when it arrived. King Edward VIII, cold buffets and slimming diets. Edward VIII reigned over Canada for less than a year, 326 days from January to December, 1936, before abdicating to marry Wallis Simpson. His culinary legacy is brief, but specific. Edward was, for a British royal of his era, almost suspiciously disinterested in food. While his father, George V, had loved apple dumplings and his grandfather, Edward VII, had consumed 12 courses at dinner without apparent effort, Edward VIII approached eating as a necessary inconvenience. He preferred cold buffet food, things that could be picked at without formality, and was known to maintain a careful slimming diet, influenced in part by Wallis Simpson, who is reported to have had strong opinions about both her own figure and his. His preferred foods ran to American-style appetizers, lobster dishes served cold, and light salads. He visited Canada in 1919 as Prince of Wales, and photographs from the tour show a man who received food enthusiastically. But the king he briefly became was more abstemious than any Windsor before him. King George VI, kedgeree and game from Sandringham. George VI reigned over Canada through the Second World War, and his approach to food was shaped entirely by the era he governed through, plain, honest, and entirely free of pretension. Kedgeree was a fixture of his breakfast table at Sandringham. Flaked smoked fish folded through spiced rice with hard-boiled eggs. The dish, a holdover from the colonial-era palate that had moved through the British household for generations. His coronation banquet in 1937 deliberately avoided the French extravagance of previous monarchs. It featured Scottish salmon and simply sauced chicken at a time when Britain was watching events in Europe with growing unease. When war came and rationing followed, George VI and Queen Elizabeth submitted to the same restrictions as every British subject. They drew lines on their bathtubs marking the maximum permitted water depth, kept the palace heating turned low, and the royal kitchen worked within ration allocations. Staff recalled him as a monarch who ate what was put in front of him and expressed genuine gratitude, a quality that, in a king, was rarer than it should have been. Queen Elizabeth II, grilled Dover sole and chocolate cake. Queen Elizabeth II reigned over Canada for 70 years and is the longest-serving monarch in Canadian history. She kept her food preferences disciplined, private, and remarkably consistent throughout 7 decades on the throne. Her former personal chef, Darren McGrady, documented her habits carefully. She began each day with Earl Grey tea and a bowl of cereal, kept famously in a Tupperware container in her private kitchen. Lunch typically featured grilled Dover sole or poached salmon with vegetables, and she ate small portions regardless of occasion. She had almost no interest in elaborate sauces and actively disliked anything too rich or heavily spiced. She never ate garlic. She had no interest in pasta, rice, or potatoes when they could be avoided. But there was one exception to her general restraint: chocolate, specifically chocolate biscuit cake, a no-bake construction of dark chocolate, golden syrup, and crushed biscuits that required no oven and held together beautifully in cold storage. McGrady confirmed she requested a small slice almost every day, and when she traveled, a portion of the cake traveled with her. King Charles III, pheasant pie, and wild mushrooms. King Charles III became Canada's monarch in September 2022, and his relationship with food is unlike that of any predecessor. Rooted in organic farming, environmental philosophy, and an obsession with ingredients grown as close to the source as possible. His declared favorite meal, announced publicly on his 71st birthday, was pheasant pie, game from the estate wrapped in pastry, the kind of dish that connected him directly to the Sandringham and Balmoral traditions of his father and grandfather. But equally revealing are his other habits. He forages personally for wild mushrooms in the grounds of his Scottish estates, bringing porcini back to the palace kitchen. He requires his eggs cooked to exactly 4 minutes. He skips lunch entirely most days, calling it a luxury his schedule cannot support. He avoids chocolate, coffee, and garlic. He eats no meat 2 days a week and follows a plant-based diet 1 day in 7. His Highgrove estate in Gloucestershire has operated as an organic farm since 1985, decades before organic food became fashionable. And virtually everything Charles eats traces back to land he has personally cultivated or overseen. 7 monarchs, 7 tables, 7 entirely different answers to the same question that has sat at the center of every royal household since Confederation. What exactly does a Canadian king eat for dinner?